Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And as you can see, we're back here at Undercaste Studios. Thank you, as always, for having us, you guys. We really appreciate it. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary, fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hey guys, it's V, aka Vyne. You already know you're tuned in to Jimmy's Jambox. I'm excited.
Hell yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, appreciate you.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do. Give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
For sure. I mean, for me, I really was born in Bremerton, Washington.
Okay.
Both my family on mom and father's side were from the Navy. So right after they had me, they got off. And then I think I stayed in Federal Way in my early years and then moved to Kent, still early as hell, And so from that point, just growing up, I transitioned over to Arizona with my mom, grew up through that. And then everybody kind of had a musical background. So from my mom's side, it was church. My dad's side, it was still kind of church, but more so Nigeria because I'm Nigerian myself.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was just growing up and listening to all sorts of music like R&B, early 90s, everything transitioning to, the early stuff and later nowadays. So
yeah, I dig that. So then your parents, it sounds like, were pretty musical. Was there anybody else around you that was in any kind of bands or musical settings growing up that influenced you early on?
Yeah, my uncles, were with my dad at the same time, kind of making the music in their studios that they had. I don't know where specifically, but they had one in Hollywood and just other places.
So you've just kind of had music around you most of your life.
Yeah, just being interested, being a listener.
Yeah. And then when did you first get into making music?
Right after high school, I want to say the end of 2017. So it was just me going into community college and already listening to music, and I had people around me that were making music. So I wanted to go to a studio. Went to an amateur dude, cooked up for about 2 weeks. After that, I was if I want to get it how I want it, I'm gonna have to figure it out myself. So I was working at McDonald's at the time, scraped up $200, got $100 mic, $100 speakers, put it all together, and was just day by day learning, and YouTube University helped me,
Yep. Hell yeah, well, that's rad. Now, before we get into more of what you do in the present day, I do have a couple foundation questions I check in with everybody on.
For sure.
And this first one is one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Oh, that's a good question. I remember this. 2015 Cherry Bomb by Tyler, the Creator.
Okay, hell yeah.
I got the CD for it, and my homie Connor, we were in high school. I want to say this is sophomore year. I didn't have a CD player. I didn't have a car, and he had a truck. So I bought it, and then we just played it constantly throughout the weeks. It was crazy.
Man, that's rad. That is a super quality first album.
No, for sure.
And then what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was one you wanted to go to? So you saw it was happening, got tickets, went to it.
Yo, Kid Cudi 2017 for the Passion Pain and Demon Slaying.
Whoa.
20, yeah, that was crazy.
So you really have just been about good music since the start.
For sure.
Yeah, I dig that. And then before we officially get into it, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
I want to say 2020, COVID had hit, and that was when around the time I really wanted to start doing shows. And so I had did my first couple of shows. I want to say my first official show, I opened up for Ugly God. That was in 2019. And I met him, chopped it up with him. That shit was cool. And pretty much it was just a learning experience from there. But around that time, COVID had just happened, shut everything down, and I wasn't even able to really full-fledged into the artist. So I had to be patient and just cook at my own crib and, just work from there.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, at least it sounds like you made a, good opportunity out of a bad scenario.
No, facts.
Yeah. Well, then let's go ahead. Let's get on into more of you in the present day. We are going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
Vyne. My name's Divine.
Okay.
It's spelled weird. It's Devyne.
Gotcha.
I just chopped it and it was Vyne, Vyne. But before that, I was like Vyne 19 because I was younger. You know, I was 19.
Oh, okay.
But after I turned 20.
Yeah, you're like,
So
dang,
it's
this
just
is
like-
no longer on brand.
It didn't feel right. So
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, easy enough. And it's a cool name. It's easy to spell. It's easy to remember. It's easy to say. And since it's actually your name, it's probably easy to respond to.
no, for sure.
Did you ever have any other like artist names before you landed on that?
That's a good question because like people never asked me that. And all right, so boom. The first one officially was D Block Boy. It was crazy. It was crazy. But then I changed that like after I didn't even like keep it for more than a week.
Gotcha.
I told you. But from that point, it was just like Vyne 19 and then just chopped it and it was fine.
Okay, cool. Well, glad I asked.
Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process a little bit. And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So when you get inspired, ready to make music,
Yeah.
what are some of the things you do to get a track started?
I really just go through my life before I even go to the studio because if anything, like my experiences like talk for itself. And whenever I listen to a beat, the beat's going to tell me what I want to say.
Yeah.
And so I just go from there.
Okay. So then when you say that, do you mean like, do you just kind of like think about what your past experiences have been? Or do you just like wait until the world kind of inspires you to do something?
Both, because if the beat's going to tell me to talk about something that happened 5 minutes ago, or I'm just watching something in real time, I'm going to speak on that in real time.
Gotcha. Okay. And then as far as like beat selection goes, are you getting them from people? Are you going on the internet? Kind of a mix of both? How do you go about picking out your beats?
I got a lot of close homies who are like really personal friends of mine that make beats. Like my brother Sogi, he's right here. He's off camera, but yeah, like, and the homie Sanjay. But right now, like what I've been dropping is personally with my brother Bass Kids.
Okay.
He DJs this for V's and Highway and really has been on tour on some crazy stuff. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So
blessed.
you're all in house for it. I dig that. And then as far as putting the words together, are you pen and paper? Are you in the phone? Are you freestyling?
Freestyling.
Okay. Okay. Do you I mean, I guess kind of a loaded question. Have you ever like written down enough for a full track, or has it always been freestyle?
Yeah, for sure. In the younger years, I want to say like 2017, 2018, I was always like writing songs, but it wasn't consistently. It was just like, oh, I'm gonna write a song today.
Yeah.
But it was always like locked in on a specific beat. I never kind of like write something and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait till I hear a beat that matches the thing. It really has to like be coexisting.
Gotcha.
You know, in a balance.
Okay. And then once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like released per se, but you've gotten it to where you can really start memorizing it.
Yeah.
How long does it usually take you to feel comfortable enough to perform a track?
Probably within the day.
Okay.
If I'm playing it consistently enough and like the hook's already catchy, then I just got to remember like at least like the end of a line. It doesn't have to be like word for word because that's not how performance should be. I mean, to each his own because you could do that, but at the same time, like as a crowd like member and actually visually seeing something, as long as you have the energy and the time and the effort in the show, then you'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I dig that. Now let's go ahead and then let's talk about some of your music.
Yeah.
Now I jumped on, ye old Spotify.
Yeah.
And you've got a ton of music. You've got, I mean, it's going all the way back to 2019 and it's all really cool.
Thank you.
It's really, it's very wavy. It's very like affected. The beat selection is strong. So knowing it comes from in-house is super cool because you've definitely got some talented people around you.
Thank you.
They all slap and you have this really, really melodic element to your voice. Like the way that you actually like present your lines and things like that. I really appreciate it, especially on your most recent album, which is it V or is it 5, the Roman numeral?
So V is an EP that I created based off just the fact that I wanted to be like really in a self-producing mode because that was my first time really leaping forward on that type of timing.
Okay.
But I also had co-producers that helped me put it together. But it was really just them putting together loops, or we'd take time on the drums. But specifically, it was really me on the drums. I want to say a 90% bass.
Gotcha. Okay.
Project.
Okay, cool. But more just for the name, is it V?
Oh yeah, to answer your question, yeah, for sure, V.
Cool, because I thought it might, because it is your 5th one. So I thought it would have been, I thought it would have been a fun twist.
I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah, so now you can tell people it's both, because it definitely could be. But it was wild. It had a lot of really abstract sounds. You were really locked in for the whole thing, and I think it really stands out even more on your most recent track, Flashing Lights.
Yeah.
Which I mean, first of all, the bass on that track is insane.
Thank you.
Like that, it just so fat, which I'm a bass player, so I'm always paying attention to that. And then you were just kind of vibing on the track, and it was really cool because like your delivery was a little more like, not like toned down, but it was like in this pocket. Because the track itself, the beat was so big and so full of sound, it made this really interesting middle ground happen, and it made the track really cool. So big fan. I really liked it.
Thank you so much. I really try to hold an importance to like lacing it the right way, not overdoing it, not overstepping any boundaries within the sounds.
Yeah.
If there's something that's overbearing overall, then I'm gonna make sure to kind of underpocket it, just how you're saying.
Gotcha. Well, it definitely shows.
Thank you.
And also, I really appreciate your delivery in a lot of your tracks, because there's a more current approach right now where everybody just kind of is like, ignore the beat. This is kind of the flow, like get the words in where they can. But you found this really good pocket where it doesn't feel like you like went too loose just because you weren't paying attention, or you were trying to lock it in too much, and like then dial it back. Like you found this space really well in all of your tracks. And I noticed it's a recurring thing. So it's just kind of, your delivery is really well put together.
No, for sure. Throughout the years, I'm experimenting with a lot of different music. So it's just going to take time for me to understand a pocket for a certain genre.
Yeah.
But I'm really multifaceted, and I hold that to an importance.
Clearly. And like I said, it shows really well. Now, before I get into this next question, I rarely do this, but I do want to ask about a certain track. And I'm mad because I apparently didn't write it in my iPad, but you have a track with Yeet. How did that come about? And can you remind me the name of it? I apologize.
So there's Real High. That's a remix song. And then there's All Week. I was really tapped in with a lot of producers. I was closer with them in the earlier years. So I was really just making that track to put that out there, because I already knew through time it was going to be more difficult. There's labels around. It's a whole lot of, situating to do. So that was just something in the earlier stakes that I just wanted to get out the vault.
Okay, cool. Well, it's definitely super solid.
Thank you.
Now, the normal question that would happen here, out of all of the music you have available that like people can go and check out, what are some of your favorite tracks to perform?
Off of V, I want to say 10 Toes. I want to say Faith for sure. I performed that recently at the Zone in Seattle. And that's just one of the most recent stuff. Flashing Lights for sure. That's a banger single. I got some new stuff on the way with Bass Kids that I'm really, really excited.
Okay, well, that actually segues well into the next one. Tell us about some of the music you got cooking. What can we expect as far as like maybe different sounds or approaches, or what do you got going?
I'm just giving the all natural V. I'm really just giving them what the people want. They love the aesthetic. They love the rambunctiousness, but the controlled melodic pocket that I offer. So it's really just the overall experience, the turn, but very calm, cool, collected, swaggy, everything.
Okay. So like really I feel like more of like what Flashing Lights has to offer, but in a lot more variety.
For sure.
Hell yeah. Well, that sounds rad. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Now for this next one, I want to kind of zoom out. I want to look at more kind of music as a whole.
Yeah.
What are some of the things about either new music, if you're one of those people taking in the new, or if you're not, just music that's new to you that you found recently that you enjoy or you're finding inspiration in at the moment?
I really draw a lot of inspiration from my closer people, my brothers, you feel me? Like I said, Sogi's off camera. Like he's the one that brought me into music. And like from the early stages when I started making music, he was already cooking up songs and having presets and teaching me things. Like me, I'm a producer. I'm a songwriter. I do a lot of things, and he taught me things within FL. That was a DAW that we would use. And showed me
that to say Ableton. No, I'm kidding.
Nah, but fucking FL was just one of those things where like I was more comfortable being locked in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have their things like Pro Tools, Logic. Like me, I'm doing an associate's degree in audio production.
Cool.
Right now I'm working in Logic, and that's just one of those things where I have to get more comfortable with.
Yeah.
But for me overall, like I know I'm always going to be trying to learn something. So for him to teach me those things and provide those blessings, I just put it on to the next person. And as long as they're willing to work, then the work will show forth.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. All right. Now, before we move into the next portion, this next question I have is probably the densest one in the interview.
Yeah.
But we've talked about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music, one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Clarity, because that's just me speaking through my own thoughts and my own perception on what I've experienced. So overall, like I kind of just end up in a mode where I'm thinking about something at the time, like I said, and I just kind of protrude what I'm feeling. And everything could be real raw emotions, real rock. Like that's what I claim to be it. Real rock, real spill, real talk, however people want to translate it to, but I call it real rock. That's something that you express yourself fluently, strong in the strongest form, in the purest form. And so it's just it's hell, but it's also like a blissful thing because it's therapy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that I was running to try and express myself, because I'm very understanding, and I'm very cohesive with how I move through life. So when I speak to people, when I'm having conversations, I understand that it's transparency. If we can't get past the transparency, we're just talking to a wall.
Yeah.
You know, so I just try to speak that through the mic.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. It sounds like you use, like, it really helps you, like, kind of keep your slate clean. And that's really cool. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Now, before we officially move into the next one, I do actually want to ask you a little bit about, so you said you're going to school for music right now. I mean, where are you going? How are you taking that approach? What has that experience been like?
No, for sure. I'm doing an associate's degree in an online school right now, but it does a lot of different business degrees. It's not just audio production. You could do film, and just like me going through that, like through the months, it's book work. And then there's a lot of like on hand stuff, but I'm just like learning about like keyboards and MIDI controllers, just like more electronical stuff that I might not use in FL, or I might use in FL, but I'm specifically learning in Logic right now. I don't know about Pro Tools, but yeah, I'm in favor of FL personally.
Fair. Now, did you get into that just because you wanted to be stronger in your craft? Are you looking to like move within the realm there?
Exactly that.
Okay, cool. Well, that is cool. I dig that. It's fun to see somebody like who is clearly strong as like a musician, as a vocalist, to want to like learn more of the back end of it and not just do it through like the usual, like, let me plink around and take away from my craft. So that's really cool.
You could be doing a whole lot of something, but it could be a whole lot of nothing. So if you're doing a lot, you got to make sure you sharpen that tool.
Exactly.
That's really all I'm doing.
Exactly. I dig that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
For sure.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well.
All right.
This first one is pretty straightforward.
All right.
If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Who would I work with alive right now? I mean, I really want to say like probably Travis Scott. In my earlier years, I want to say 2014, 2015. I remember the days before Rodeo dropped, which ended up dropping, if I'm not mistaken, it dropped either on my birthday, August 29th, or the day before, August 28th. Kanye tweeted about that mixtape, and I didn't know who Travis Scott was. I didn't know nothing. Yeah. But he tweeted about it. I found it. I didn't even have Twitter. I just seen he tweeted somewhere. Yeah. And I checked it out, changed my life, like generational artist, different, cut different. And through the years, just seeing his evolution. I mean, I might not like some songs throughout the years, but, you know, regardless, like, he got good music, and that's, to this person, you feel me, alive. Yeah. That's somebody who I definitely would want to work with.
Hell yeah. That's a super rad choice. Now, subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
I'll say Teo. Okay. Yeah, by Teo. That's, I believe that's his, he actually is shooting a music video today.
Okay, cool.
My brother Teo. Yeah, we cooked a song. We probably cooked 2 songs, but we never like really sat down and like put the full production behind the song. It was just something that we recorded. God, you know. So it's I want to make some real hard stuff. So
yeah. Well, everybody, add them in the comments. Let's see if we can get that to happen.
Shout out Teo.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power. It was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Probably Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, Japan.
Do you have anywhere in particular, or you just want to like go there and go for it?
Shibuya.
Okay. Yeah, I dig that. And there's Japan is one of those places where you kind of can just go without a plan and make it happen. They have such a cool like music scene there. So it's surprisingly more doable than a lot of people think. If you have a passport to get there, you could just show up and find shows. They're usually super open to just letting people show up and do it.
Nah, facts. Like through the years, like I had real heavy inspiration of like the type of designs and just the type of art that Japan offers. Cause like in my younger years, I feel like the earliest sign that I seen was my dad had an Xbox and he had like he had a couple games, but he had two specific games that I would like really enjoy. That was Halo and that was Jet Set Radio Future.
Hell yeah.
Jet Set Radio Future is a personal real deal favorite of mine.
Yep.
Like
Phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
If you know Beat, the character Beat, I'm finna get that tatted. Like,
yeah.
And shout out Yo Yo too. That's a fire character, but Beat's my personal favorite.
Yeah, I dig that. That is a super underrated game too. I really wish more people knew it. They keep trying to bring it back. Allegedly, they
did because it's called Cyberfunk. Wait, no, Bomb Hill Cyberfunk, and it was like it came out on the what's that game called? What's the Switch? It came out on the
Gotcha.
Switch. I bought it. That shit was crazy.
I think there's one coming out soon that like hasn't yet. So like another version that'll actually be Jet Set Radio, but I could be wrong.
No, because I heard the original producers are not trying to remake it.
Yeah.
So like when they made the Bomb Hill Cyberfunk, like that was really the rendition of that, and it was a beautiful game. I beat it twice, and
gotcha.
I love
Okay.
it. I love it.
Okay, cool. And then to wrap up the hypothetical question, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday.
Yeah.
Who would you want an album from?
Speaker Knockers.
Okay, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, what a cool answer.
Heavy inspiration. I'll say that. People say I sound like him. It's crazy. Like I hear it in certain songs, but like to get that like, yo, you sound like this person. I get a lot of comparisons like with Yee, with a whole bunch of people, but just like to hear it, it lets me know that I'm doing a good job. So I'm really like, morphing. I'm like Kid Boo. No, literally.
Yeah, no, I dig that. That's a super good comparison. All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward? This will come out probably the end of January. So what can we look forward to between, let's say, like January and July?
Heavy drops. Lots with Bass Kids. You already know a whole lot of good music, a whole lot of everlasting music. And if you don't know, you're gonna definitely know. So tap in.
Oh, yeah. And then for this next one, go and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on social media. Instagram is VYNE99. Twitter is VYNE1919 or something like that. You don't really need my Twitter right now, but yeah, tap in. And make sure you tap in on all platforms with the music. VYNE. Yes, sirree. We here.
Oh, yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Shout out my dad. Shout out my mom. Shout out my brother, Sogi Carver, right here, right next to me. Shout out, you feel me, Cuzzo, T-Juice. You feel me? Shout out Dejuan. You feel me? A lot of day ones that are here to this day that's really rocking with me for this journey. So I appreciate y'all. Shout out my brother Sanjay. We just shot a crazy music video with Bass Kids last night. If you don't know, now you know. You feel me? And we going up. Go.
Is that video going to come out before this does or after this?
Definitely.
Okay, cool. Well, definitely looking forward to that. All right, now with that being said, I've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Yeah.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Yeah.
But in all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
This is going to be really weird, but, if you listen, you're going to tap into the mind of an insane person, an insane creative. This is art at the end of the day. This is how we present ourselves. So shout out Edward Skeletrix. The album is called Skeletrix Language.
Okay, that's one I'm not familiar with, so I'm super excited. All right, with that being said, though, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Shout out to Jimmy's Jambox.
Yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Vyne.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is a show.
Keep jamming.